Yo, what's up guys, welcome to a Season 6 settings video for Warzone. I'm just going to jump straight into it with the Windows settings. First of all, you want to go down to your Windows, Documents, find the Modern Warfare folder, then Players, and click on Advanced Options at the top. Now, what we're going to be changing here is the render worker count. You want to be putting this number to half of whatever your CPU cores are. So if you have 12 core CPU, put the number as 6. If you have an 8 core CPU, put your number as 4. But if you have less than 8 cores in your CPU, just put the number as 4 anyway, even if you've got like a 6 core. So next up is the Chrome settings. So Chrome uses a lot of resources if you don't change this option. Now you want to be coming to the Chrome settings page, click on System, and you want to make sure continue running background apps when Google Chrome is closed as off. You don't want that on. Also use hardware acceleration when available, you want that on too. So just make sure this is off and on. And you want to go ahead and close out of that. So next up is game mode. You just want to hit the Windows search key and type in game mode. Click on game mode. And you want to make sure that this is turned on. Once that's on, come over to the graphics settings on the right. And not all PCs will have this, but you want to make sure your hardware accelerated GPU is turned on. And you want to set a setting for high performance for Modern Warfare. And to do this, you just click Browse, find the location of Modern Warfare, and you want to click the bottom one, modernwarfare.x, with the large file size. And once you do that, mine says specified app is already added, but you want to make sure that you select that and change it to high performance. That will definitely increase frame rate. Next up is the Nvidia control panel settings. So you just want to right click on the home, click Nvidia control panel, and you'll come to this screen and click manage 3D settings, and you just want to copy all of these settings I've got here. I'll scroll down for you now. Once you've copied all them, you want to make sure you save and apply. Now bear in mind, if you ever update your graphic drivers on the GeForce Experience, these will reset, so make sure you just go back, change them, and then click save and apply. Next step, you want to go to change resolution and make sure your PC is running at its native resolution. I play on 1440. Also make sure your refresh rate is the highest it can be. I play on 144, some of you guys might be 120 or 240, but make sure this is the highest, because I know a lot of people are struggling with their frames and they don't even realise they've got 60 Hz on. So yeah, just make sure these two settings are correct. Once you've done that, you just want to scroll down to the bottom and you'll come to this settings page here. You want to make sure use Nvidia color settings is checked and not the default one, and you want to make sure output dynamic range is set to full. Once you've done all that, you're done with the Nvidia control panel, and we'll get right into the game settings. So I'm going to jump in the general tab. I won't be covering keyboard and mouse settings as I am a controller player, but we'll start off with the field of view. I play on 120, it's definitely the best I think. ADS field of view is affected. I will scroll down, I play on 50 brightness. I don't like my brightness too high because you can't really see much. I have my colorblind type set to Deuteranopia. That's probably the best one out of all of them, just from personal preference, and mixed with my Nvidia filter settings, which I will be going over towards the end of the video. I feel like this makes my game look the nicest. I have my colorblind target set to both. Minimap shape I have on square. As you can see, it does have more map coverage. I know people like the circle, but just for the your best option is definitely the square. You can see a lot more that's going on. So next up, you do not really need to know about any of this stuff. This is just personal preference with what I want to see on my screen. If you're on PC, I just have my FPS and some other settings there. Next up is the graphics settings. Make sure your display mode is on full screen. I know some people do have a better time with full screen borderless in terms of frames, but for most people full screen is the better option. Make sure your screen refresh rate is set to the highest. Make sure your render resolution is also set to what your native monitor resolution is. Just make sure this number's on 100. Aspect ratio automatic. Custom frame rate limit, I set mine to custom. This is just because you don't want your PC to be working at its maximum rate in the menus, so just change this to 60 just so you're not overloading your PC. I have my custom game frame rate limit set to the highest, just so I can see the highest frames that I'm getting. Nvidia Reflex Low Latency, I have mine set to enable plus boost, it's definitely the best option. Display gamma 2.2. Now for details and textures, I have my streaming quality to normal, text resolution low, texture filter on normal, particle quality on high, bullets, impacts and sprays on disabled, tessellation on disabled, on-demand texture streaming I have on standard quality. Shadow and lighting, you just want to basically disable this whole bottom half and just make sure your cache sunspot shadows are enabled, because that will give you more frames. It's only slight, it's only a couple of frames, but you want to make sure that these shadows are enabled. Shadow map resolution, this is personal preference. I don't see a massive change in frames, but I just have mine just set to the normal. And for the post-processing effects, you want your filmic strength on 0. Nvidia DLSS, I have mine on disabled. I think Nvidia DLSS makes your game look grainy. I've tried all of them, and for myself that plays on 1440, I don't use any Nvidia DLSS. My anti-aliasing, this was a big one for me for frame boost. I used to play on Filmic SMAA T2X, as I thought this made my game look the clearest. If you play on 1080p, I would advise probably running this setting or just a normal T2X setting. Now if you're like me and I play on 1440, I would probably have it off or on the 1 times. I went from getting about 120 FPS, and when I changed it to the 1X, I'm now consistently hitting a 160 to 170 plus. I think it was just, you know, clashing with the 1440p by having this max setting on. So definitely have it on 1 times. Depth of field, I have mine on disabled. It's best for visual recoil control. World motion blur disabled. Weapon motion blur disabled. Film grain on 0. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the graphics tab. On audio, I think boost low is the best for footsteps personally. I mean, it kind of just depends on what headset you have, I suppose, but I would recommend boost low. It's definitely what I prefer. These are all your volumes, this is just personal preference. My hit marker sound on classic, voice chat, microphone, yeah, this is all just whatever fits best for you guys. There's nothing really that's going to affect your in-game graphics or your frames with any of this stuff. Now for my controller settings, dead zone is just depends on how new or old or what quality of controller you have. I think 0.07 is probably the best middle point. I know if you do have a brand new controller, you might want to turn this down to maybe 0.05 or 0.06. I think this is probably the safest option for pretty much all controllers really. If you do have a controller with a lot of stick drift, I'd probably bump it up to maybe 0.10. Horizontal and vertical, I play on 7.7. ADS low, I am on 0.8, ADS high, I'm 1.05. I just like to be a little bit faster with my sniping, because you know, you do only get 1 shot in most situations, so you need to be kind of quick when you're aiming on people, so I have that on 1.05. Aim response curve time I have set to dynamic. I think dynamic is definitely the best out of all 3 options. Controller vibration, this is personal preference. I know people are going to hate on me for using enabled, but I've been playing with vibration ever since I started playing Halo back in the day, years and years ago, and I've just got used to it. But I know disabling this usually helps a lot more people with you know, hitting their shots and being able to focus more and not having that constant vibrating. Aim assist I have set to standard. I wouldn't bother with precision or focusing, it just kind of hurts your aim really, if anything. Scale aim assist with FOV, definitely want this on enabled. Next up, the setting you want to be changing is the use/reload behavior to contextual tap. It's definitely the fastest way to play Warzone. Looting chests, opening doors, you definitely want to have this on. Armor plate behavior, apply all, so you only need to press the plate button once and it will automatically apply all of the plates for you, so you don't need to hold your finger on that button. For movement settings, slide behavior, you definitely want this on tap. This is the quickest way to slide cancel, it's the most efficient way, and yeah, you definitely want this on tap. You'll see a huge difference in your movement if you've got this from hold to tap. Auto move forward, I have that disabled. Automatic sprint, definitely automatic tactical sprint, so you don't need to keep pressing down the sprint button, you just automatically do your full tactical sprint when pushing the analog stick forward. And tactical sprint, double tap, parachute auto deploy disabled. This is just so you can get to locations quicker than your opponents, and you don't want the parachute auto deploying because you're always really slow when you do that, and you've got to kind of wait and drop down. So yeah, make sure this is on disabled too. I'll now show you guys my in-game Nvidia filters. So come over to your game filters. First, this is in order. You want to add color first, then brightness and contrast, and then details. And it should come up in this order here. First off, in details, I have sharpen on 70, clarity on 75, HDR toning on 25, and bloom on 0. Brightness and contrast, I have 10% exposure, 15% contrast, negative 60 highlights, negative 80 shadows, and 0 gamma. For colour, I have 35% tint colour, 0% tint intensity, 2.5 temperature, and 80.9 vibrance. Now, the only two things I would probably say, if you do want these filters and you feel like something maybe doesn't look right, or you want something to look a bit more vibrant, change the vibrance. You can whack it all the way up to 100, you can turn it down a bit if it's too much colour. Also sharpen, this just really depends on your monitor settings as well. I have mine on 70, I feel like it makes the game look nice and crisp and not too sharp, but you also don't want your game to look blurry, so definitely try 70 out, it's worked the best for me. I'll just scroll down and show you guys these filters again. You can pause at any time. And that pretty much wraps it up for the video. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave a comment down below. I will reply to everyone. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe and turn those bell notifications on so you never miss a video. Thank you guys for watching.